Yeah.
Are you ready?
Are you kidding me? That's what?
Yeah, every so often it happens that Ryan is right.
100% right. Not even a little bit right.
Tucker Blumen, 2 points last game.
No kidding.
My man!
Hey, neither does me running shirtless, but that turned out very well.
Welcome to the PP1 podcast.
We're live. Somehow we made this work. Internet has been kind to us, and we're all here. Welcome, as the intro video said, in case you are hard of hearing, to the PP1 podcast on the Hockey Podcast Network, THPN.
I'm used to that.
Oh, man, it's still a little fresh. It's kind of like you forget, some new things. And, we're also brought to you by DraftKings, promo code THPN. We'll get into that a little bit later. Insert promo code here. We have a very special guest to break up our summer hiatus. Some of you may have seen him live if you happen to be in America and go to comedy shows. Some of you may have heard his podcast, the Puck Off podcast, or All Things Comedy. His Instagram is legendary. He has clips that I continually show everyone I know because they're hilarious, and I like that he pokes fun at regular people like me. Mr. Joe Bartnick, which is also his Instagram handle. Welcome to the we're not in Vancouver, we're in Kelowna, but welcome to our show. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ryan and Teddy. It's a total honor and a pleasure. The Canucks, you guys are, you got Ricky Tocchet now. I'm all in.
I mean, he's not as good as Patrice Bergeron, but I'm, and this is where we reel him in. Maybe we watch, maybe we listen. I don't know.
I'll take Ricky Tocchet all day long.
We're quite thankful to have him as our head coach. Joe, I had heard you on the Jim Jeffries, I don't know about that podcast, when you were basically a hockey expert, and listening to your show, I would deem that you are a hockey expert. So
I don't know. I'm in Canada, so I think I'm just a normal citizen in Canada.
That's yeah. Do you know Joe? I do know Joe. So yeah,
I remember talking third line left wingers on like the Winnipeg Jets in the Toronto airport with a chick at the bar. So
wow, that's a deep dive.
Yeah,
that's a deep dive. If anybody wants to ask any questions, we'll hopefully get to a few. You can comment along on Facebook and our YouTube channel, and by all means, come and say hi. And if you're just listening to this, it's likely late Thursday night or Friday morning. So thanks for waking up with the PP1 podcast. So first things first, I've got kind of this thing that I've been doing because I sell flooring. I drive around town a lot, and I see some things. So like Ryan in a car. Last week, I was at McDonald's grabbing a quick bite through the drive-thru, and I see this guy in a Toyota Tercel, which is an old vehicle, and he's sitting there. There's an F. Trudeau sticker on like the side of his car, like very classy person. And he's sitting in the passenger seat, tarps off, kind of bald, very sweaty. It was like 32 degrees. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. I'll let you figure that out, Joe. And anyway, yeah, he's exactly like, whatever.
Why don't you just, you have everything else American. Why don't you just make it easy on everybody up there?
You know what? We're stubborn as Canadians. You should know that.
I think you're good people.
We are, but we're still stubborn. We can have it going for us.
Maybe my wife's from Maine, so maybe they dripped into Maine because she's stubborn as an ox.
It's like 90 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, really? Oh, 90 in Vancouver is hot.
So anyway, I see this guy and I'm looking and like he's kind of sweating, like all bald, tarps off. I wasn't sure. Like he looks like maybe he was homeless at one point, or like he doesn't have a great job and whatever. Anyway, and he's dry shaving in the car. Like I'm talking obviously no creams, no gels. He's just shaving around. He's kind of getting in there, like not like a deep dive, but I'm a little worried for this guy. It was a very interesting scene at the local McDonald's. I don't know.
Well, McDonald's. That's the number one
Still.
mistake. You're gonna absolutely find garbage at McDonald's. You guys should have banned McDonald's from ever coming to Canada. That garbage. But I'll tell you, you've never dry shave a lot, and I have thick Italian bullshit hair. I'm sorry, can we swear on this?
Absolutely.
Matter. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. All the time. I mean, when you're traveling, you forgot shaving cream. What are you gonna do? Well, I'm not gonna go. Too late now. Just shave.
Do you have like an electric? Do you have like an electric one or no?
No, electrics don't work on me. Although I do, my German Irish I'm missing a spot, like 2 spots that make me not be able to do the full on. So I look really, really shitty.
That makes sense. I have German in my background. Now it all makes sense. This is like a thing now. That's why I could
like 2 spots too. Like yeah, and it ruins the whole deal.
It all makes sense. It's all coming up Millhouse now. It all makes sense.
But yeah, I shave. Yeah, if you get a good, just in a quick fix, especially if it's just like a one, maybe 12 hours or just one day, and you can just grind it through. But it has to be a decent razor. I mean, it can't be one of those ones like 2 for $1 razors. Then you'll just have 5 cuts.
No, then you're just asking for it.
It didn't look great. That's all I'm saying.
It has to be. I'll tell you what, though, I do the 5 blades, and it is so worth it because by the time
you're wrong.
But I think so. No.
You go the safety razor, one blade, because you're cutting off too much. Then you get hairs. This is known. This is gospel.
You do the straight razor like my grandfather.
I literally just bought that. Like it just came in the one blade where you flip it up and you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, mine is like a machete one. It's still you screw it in, but it's one blade, and they're like the blades are dirt cheap. They're great. They last me. I only shave once a week, so they last me like a month.
Man up in Canada.
We are, lumberjacks. We've been told.
God damn, no, I just shut. And I always find it good luck too if I cut myself before a big event. I always cut myself shaving before a big event, even for like not even nervous. Just like
how far are you willing to go on this? Like, do you do it just like, well, I haven't cut myself yet, and do you like make sure that you actually do it? Like,
I don't blade like Dusty Rhodes at Starcade. I'm just saying like by accident. Just think of something else. Excuse me. Now my biggest fear though is just not paying attention and like taking a slash at the stash. That's my biggest.
Mine's double bogey, so that's my biggest fear is a double bogey. So
golfing,
that's just slicing.
Are you on the tour?
I am actually. I'm on the local tour of my backyard. That's
putt tour. You gotta get it through the dragon's mouth.
I have to get one of those, man. We got to get one of those. I'm gonna go to Value Village and figure that out. Ted, you were down south, as was I recently, but yours was a little bit cooler. I went to the MLB All-Star game, but you trumped that by going to what might be dubbed the greatest tour to ever grace planet Earth, the Eras Tour of Taylor Swift. I believe the Shake It Off song is what took this off, and Taylor actually caused a minor earthquake, according to local Seattleites, and it ranked slightly higher than the epic Beastquake.
It was bigger. It was bigger than the Beastquake. I think they said it hit 2.9 or something like that on the Richter scale. It was pretty wild. I guess the one difference is like when Marshawn scores or everybody was just like erupting and cheering, but this was like timed jumping.
Yeah.
So I gotta say, I was like sitting there feeling very uncomfortable, thinking the whole stadium was gonna just collapse on me. The whole thing was just shaking like crazy. But
you were jumping too, obviously, right?
No, I was like trying not to jump. I was trying to like keep still so that I didn't contribute to collapse of the stadium. But yeah, the kids were stoked about it.
So 50,000 14-year-old girls can cause more of a commotion than 60,000 Seattle Seahawks fans.
I think it was 75,000 was what the number was.
But their combined weight would be like 10,000 Seahawks fans.
Agreed.
That doesn't make any sense. I guess they have anything to cheer about in Seattle in so long.
It's been a while. Yeah. I think the big difference was like, when you're at a football game, there's like a bad call by the ref, right? And you hear the stadium start booing, and you feel like almost crushed by like the base of the booing, right? You don't get that at a Taylor Swift concert. It's just this shrieking, shrill screech of, like you said, 50,000 young girls.
I am not claiming I'm an old white man, but I'm not claiming anything. I'm happy that many people have that much fun and enjoy Taylor Swift. I really do. I think anything that brings people together and they're happy, I think is fantastic. But I don't know one single Taylor Swift song. Like I don't. I mean, because I haven't been even been in a strip club in a while, and that was the way I used to keep up with new music was a strip club. So I have no idea.
Yeah, you get your top 40 from the Rippers. That's it. I had to be educated, so I had some.
Did you bring your girlfriend or your daughter or
it was
something?
my daughters, yeah, my girls.
Oh, right on.
Boys,
Well,
yeah.
geez, you must be making good money, Teddy. Where you a lot of money for the triad? What's going on?
I got in. I had to do like I joined like the fan club to get in, and I bought tickets at face value. I got lucky.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I somehow avoided the collapse of the Ticketmaster thing when the Swifties wrecked it. But yeah, we got in there. It was like, I think it was like $600 for 4 tickets or something like that. So
which
like
is
pretty reasonable on the whole scale, I think.
That's insane. That's insane. So Joe, you're a Steelers fan, right?
Yes, sir.
So the last time I remember like that a bunch of people came in unison like that with the Gotham Rogues, and everybody was quite happy about that. But that didn't end well. So, I mean, you talk about a football stadium where everybody's joined together. The Gotham Rogues were in Pittsburgh, and I mean, I remember that being catastrophic. But
Gotham, what's the Gotham Rogues?
Remember in the Dark Knight or Dark Knight Rise?
Oh, I never. I don't
have you seen it?
What is that? Is that the Batman? That's the Batman with the famous Joker guy who killed himself or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw that one. I don't.
It had Heinz Ward. It had Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh, wait, the Heinz Ward drop a pass and then laugh. I mean, is that what Heinz Ward did? I'm so over Heinz. I'm so over Heinz Ward. I'm so over.
Me and you both.
He should be in the Hall of Fame. No, he's an undersized tight end who laughed when he dropped passes.
Was he the Ron Francis of number 2 wide receivers?
How dare you say that invoke the name of Ron Francis?
Just disrespected.
Yeah, disrespected.
Going so well for it. I love this.
Please, oh God Almighty, no. I mean, Heinz Ward's okay, but some people make him out to be Jesus Christ, and it's like I just didn't like how he laughed when he dropped the ball because I used to go to Steelers games with Swan and Stallworth.
Oh wow!
And I can count on one hand in a combined 20 years how many times they dropped the ball, and I guarantee they didn't laugh any time. So him smiling, yeah. I mean, whatever. At least he wasn't a rapper. That's the only thing. Now all the Steelers wide receivers want to be rappers. It's like just catch the fucking ball.
Yeah.
That's the diva. I guess he wasn't a diva. That'd probably be the only thing. How are you feeling about the AFC North this year? It's like I feel like it's going to be a pretty nasty division. Like not like it isn't every year, but all the teams feel like they've kind of leveled up since the previous year.
I'm not anti Kenny Pickett, but I need to see more than 2 drives out of a first round draft pick. Other than that, I think our defense will be pretty good. I'm a huge Najee guy because I love SEC football, so I hope just to shut up the naysayers, Najee has a good campaign. We got a new offensive tackle from Georgia who hadn't given up a sack in 2 years in the SEC. So Kenny should be able to have protection. If Kenny plays pretty good, we'll probably win 10, 11 games. If Kenny doesn't, then we'll be looking for a new quarterback, and we wasted the number 1 draft pick.
I love Najee Harris.
Is my feeling. But in our division, we're not going to win a division because and I'm a huge Joe Burrow fan. I went to the game when he won the national championship in New Orleans for LSU. I love guys like Mario Lemieux, right? I mean, we were the Clippers before he showed up and then camp. I mean, he took the Cincinnati Bengals to a Super Bowl. Are you shitting me? Who does that?
Not Carson Palmer.
Oh,
the guy smoking a stogie after a big game.
Yeah. I love everything about Joe Burrow, and I get people in Pittsburgh because the problem. I love people in Pittsburgh, but they get jealous of people, and I think jealousy is a bad look on anybody. Like they hate Tom Brady. I'm like, you hate Tom Brady. It's like the same people that hate Sidney Crosby. You're just jealous.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Yeah, like
there's nothing you can do. I mean, I think his baby mama's higher than his wife. Other than that, I mean, calm down. Anything the man's ever done, or bring AB into his house. He's made a few questionable home decisions, but in football, how can you question anything he's ever done?
Mm-hmm.
Just like Crosby. Crosby, not even. I mean, he didn't. Whatever. He's not no blemishes. Like
not true. I heard he stole like 6 donuts from a Tim Hortons one time.
Oh my God, he should have put him back.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just jealousy. It's just So, but I like Joe Burrow. I like the Brown. I was pro Browns when they had the Heisman Trophy kid.
Baker.
I love Baker because he stuck it to Ohio State. Because in all of sports, I root for the Penguins, number one. That's it. The Steelers and whoever beats the Flyers is second. Like whoever, and it really is. As much as I love the Steelers, as much as I hate the fucking Flyers. It's that even. It's that even.
It's a Pennsylvania thing.
And then after that, it's then after that is pretty much just like and then after that it's like I like the Kings, they're my mistress team, and I hate Ohio State. So Baker putting the flag right on Ohio State and like fuck you, I'm just like, yeah, Baker, I love you, buddy. And then he had a good game for the Rams or the Rams, right? Yeah,
that was a crazy game last year. Oh my God, yeah.
Baker's just is understood. He likes to have a cocktail like some whores. Who am I to judge? But
we got to get him on our football show too, man. We're gonna get a double dip with you, I think.
But then I didn't like But then that idiot lineman said that whatever the kid called him the N-word. It's like, give me a break. He didn't. You just acted like an asshole. And you didn't know what to say. So I'm really against the Browns because of that guy. And I hope someone just takes his knee out and he's walking with a limp the rest of his life. Because never say someone's a racist that isn't. That's the worst thing you can do to somebody.
That's how things need to be solved. You know what? We're just
I'd stand him up and I'd take a 4-string running back who will be in it. Just go, here's $100,000. Just crack his knee in half, and that's it. Goodbye. I'm Italian. That's how I handle shit.
I love it. Oh, this is great. I would love to keep going on football, and I think we're gonna have to bring you back for our fantasy show at some point once the season starts.
I don't play fantasy football.
No, that's fine.
No.
We don't talk.
You know why? Because I can never root against the Steelers. I'll never root. I'm not going to be rooting for some wide receiver to score touchdowns against the Steelers. I would never do that. And
I'm guilty of this too.
And I never want some other team to do this because then anything that affects the Steelers, I will never go again. I do like fantasy baseball because in the summer when you're watching paint dry, it's like, well, I might as well keep up with fantasy baseball. That's the only fantasy one that I kind of agree with. And I'll play fantasy. I used to do fantasy hockey for puck off to engage some fans, but after enough.
It's tough. I can't do fantasy hockey. Chris Letang. Let's talk about Chris Letang. So he's around for a bit. He's around for a minute or two still. I mean, he's won a few cups, so Canucks fans can't relate to that.
He's won 3. He's won 3. So you followed my show for a long time because it's been my saga of Chris Letang. Because when Letang was a rookie, I loved him. And when he was flying around and winning shootouts, and when he was on a cheap contract, I was like, this is amazing. Then he signed that big contract, and I'm like, Christopher, maybe for $7 million, you should play a little defense. Maybe you shouldn't be caught up ice the whole time. Most exciting defenseman in hockey. Someone's going to score. It's either going to be him or against him. And then when we won the cup, when he didn't play, that was a real blemish on his permanent record. But now he took less money to come back. I've accepted him into the family. Back as one. He's one of us.
That's still a ticket, though. Like that's not. We were talking about Brock Besser. Like we only have one more year of a ticket like that. I mean, Chris Letang. Don't get me wrong. Hall of Famer, Cups, all that.
Honestly, I don't know.
That's a long time. A lot of money.
I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer. He's a very although the Hall of Fame now has become the Hall of Very.
I was gonna, yeah. That's, I'm not trying to blemish him either, but let's be honest, he probably is gonna make it.
I mean, you got him. You got him for what, 6 more years? So until he's like 41 or something like that. But that doesn't even seem like as bad of a contract as the Michael Granlund one.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, the best thing that can happen to Granlund is he gets hit by a car. That's the best thing that can happen for the Penguins.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's, it was funny because my puck-off co-host says, I didn't like him in Minnesota. And then I'm like, I can't believe that Minnesota, the Nashville trade for him, and they gave up a good player. I forget, I think it's Fiala, right? Not Fiala. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I was like, it was, Hextall was absolutely fucking retarded. I mean, he's special needs. I mean, he didn't do anything for a year and a half, and he gets this guy. Give me a break. No, I mean, Granlund's terrible. He's terrible. I mean, seriously, he's freaking terrible. But back to Letang. I honestly think that he, now he's a $7 million defenseman now. He is. There's nothing wrong with his contract now, and I'm used to the way he plays, and I've said him. But here's the real crime with Letang. What people don't understand, he's pretty good in his own end. When he's in his own end, he plays hard, and he's physical enough. He goes in the corners. He'll get physical, and he's really good. But he's lost his step coming back, and that kind of hurts him. But the real crime against Letang is he's not very good on the power play. That's the real crime. He's an offensive defenseman that's not very good in the power play. What the fuck are we doing?
Yeah. I mean, we've got our own problems on the power play. I mean, when we named this show, we're like, oh, well, everybody's like, who's going to be on the power play? Who's going to be on the power play? Now we kind of know, but I mean, we still have some problems.
It's not like when you take the dogs out to the yard, work's going to get done, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're going to put the biscuit in the basket.
Yeah. And then you got to pick up, like how I was just saying it. I'd had my dog out before we started the show here. And I'm thinking, like, how sad are we as a society where, like, you go and your dog is waiting to go to the bathroom and you're patiently waiting, rubbing your hands like, I can't wait for you to poo. I can't wait for you to do this so I can pick it up and put it in a bag and put it away. We wouldn't do that as people. I mean, you do it as children where you're wiping bums and stuff until they learn how to do it all on their own. And then you're free and clear. No. As dogs, we're like, okay, yes. Like, you take and you have to watch it. You have to see this all happen. Like, good. Now I can get back to my life. Wait, I got to pick up this piece. Like, how degrading is that when you think about it?
It doesn't bother me. As a stand-up comedian, there's so much self-degradation. Like, picking up my dog's poop is no big deal. The real trick is just to have Rose go out back, and then it doesn't matter. But it's just easier to let her out the front, and I'll pick it up. When she goes out back, and then you have to be like, yeah, no, go. Kind of like in Goodfellas, we're like, no, the door over there, the door over there. I just have to keep telling Rose, no, go, because then she has to be coordinated. She's like, okay, I get it. You want me to poop. So, yeah.
There you go.
It's all big. Yeah, it's really, and if you have kids, once you've changed the diaper, you're kind of over everything.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, you can handle anything at this point.
Yeah.
Like, you know, or you get puked on for the first time as you're like, you know what? Just business as usual. Get you to where you need to be. We're going to figure this out. If it was you throwing up or something, like, it's the worst possible thing. Kids are throwing up on you. Poop on you, whatever. Like, yeah, let's just get to the end result here. Let's just do this one more time.
Actually, Ted, the worst thing is when you poop.
Oh, there she is.
When you
what a beauty.
That's Rose. When you step in dog poop in the middle of your day.
Oh, it's the worst. It is the worst.
That's the worst than anything.
You ever I stepped on it once when I was like, I guess I was like probably in my early 20s. Stepped on it once barefoot.
Oh.
It runs between your toes. I think there's no worse feeling than that. Oh,
because it's like infiltrated your skin at that point.
Was it still
it's embedding itself into your person. Not good.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and at the time I wasn't even a dog owner. It was just some dog crapped in my yard, and I stepped in it.
That's gross. So, Joe, I got a couple Penguins things here. Things have changed in the Eastern Conference. The Penguins are not the same Penguins that they once were. Now we've got the new Florida. We've got, Boston. We've got Tampa. What's going on with Pittsburgh? And, like, are they going to find a way? Like, they doing any kind of retool, or do you think they're going to be, now that they've kind of been rested over the last couple of years, do you think they're going to have like a comeback tour and actually make something of this?
I think the window of Stanley Cup winning ended 2 years ago when we lost to the Rangers after being up 3-1, and Trouba, high hit, not the dirtiest hit, but high hit, knocks Sid out. That was it. But that was our chances, because the real problem was at the deadline was, if we would have got, Raquel has played great for us, and that was great. But if he would have got Manson and Delorier instead, who knows where we could have gone. But that ship sailed. Now, with Erik Karlsson, which could be happening, I think we are a playoff team and could beat anybody in a round. Win 4 rounds, I don't really think that would happen unless something else happens at the deadline, that we can get some different people in there, or people who I don't know rise up from the ashes of the minors, or just have incredible seasons.
Yeah.
But as we stand now, without Karlsson, I think we're in the middle of the Metro. I think the New Jersey Devils had a great offseason and stand alone. Carolina, I like them signing up Aho. Rob Brindamore's teams we all play hard. Well, that's great in November when no one plays hard on a Tuesday. But come April, everybody plays hard, Rob. So you need some guys that can score the big goals, which they seem to always missing Svechnikov really hurt last year.
Yeah.
But I think other than those two, I think we're in the Rangers, like the D. I love the Rangers D. The parts, somehow the sum of the parts don't make it as good as it should be. I think there's some changing around, but you always get the Laviolette bump. The Rangers might be a little cut above, and then you got the Caps and us, and I think and the Islanders seem to be dead set on playing Stone Age hockey forever, but who knows, And then after that, I think Columbus is Columbus, and the Flyers, thank God, suck. So we're in the middle of that whole, kind of the middle of the Metro. Problem is, I think the Atlantic has gotten really much better, other than maybe Montreal catching lightning in the bottle. And I'm never, ever sold on Ottawa. I think Buffalo. I think Buffalo and Detroit really has a chance to jump in there. And then there's less Metro teams making the wild card situation. So I think the Big Four, or the Big Four, if you include the Panthers out of the Atlantic, are there. So now I think there's a lot of I think Atlantic has a lot of teams that are going to be around there. So I think it's I think the Penguins could be better, but I think it's a harder river to navigate. But like last year, here's the biggest crime of Hextall and then Brian Burke, that gas bag drunk fat fuck.
Mr. Truculence.
Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin. Sidney Crosby, arguably top Mount Rushmore all time, arguably top 5-6 guy, no matter who's got to your head. And then Malkin, top 30, 40 player of all time. Those guys each played 82 freaking games. And they each averaged a point a game. And they couldn't make the playoffs because those goddamn management couldn't put anybody else around them. Their top six was immaculate. I think they had 80 points. Every one of those guys had great seasons. Rusty was a little down, but all those guys had incredible seasons, and they couldn't make it because they didn't have a bottom six, and they only had 2 defensemen, Letang, who had a good year, and the other Pedersen, our Pedersen. And other than that, they were pure freaking garbage. They've had a shitty goaltending situation for 4 years. Casey DeSmith can't ride the big rides that Kenny would. The puck goes over. It should have been the U.S. lost the World Championship gold medal. The puck went over his shoulder. That should be on an American stamp. There's nothing more American than a puck going over Casey DeSmith's shoulder, and they've known it for 4 freaking years. Oh, when one of our guys when the goaltender gets hurt, DeSmith is hurt. DeSmith is a useless backup. They could put an orange fucking cone out there, and it'd make more saves than Casey DeSmith. That's that. So that's my quick answer on what my chances I think of the Penguins are this year. So, but
all I heard was Casey DeSmith. I just can't.
Yeah.
You guys, you guys were heading into the trade deadline. No, you were good. All I could hear was Casey DeSmith though, because I was just so enamored by it. But you guys were heading into this deadline, and there was all these rumors floating around Vancouver that like JT Miller was on his way to Pittsburgh and Hextall was pushing for him, and that trade never materialized. But like, did the Penguins fans like that? Did you like that idea? Did you think that a guy like Miller playing alongside a Malkin and a Crosby would have done something to bump that team at all?
Oh, I think JT Miller helps us immensely. I mean, I know he's having, or he's had, I don't know the situation, the ins and outs up there. I think there's some issues with different people, but I'm sure Rick Taka can straighten it out.
I think he's just grumpy.
I think he just wants to win. I don't know. Well, he's a big guy. Yeah, I mean, JT Miller would absolutely help. I'd love to have JT Miller. I don't know what this. I mean, to me now, there's only two untouchables. And that's Sid and Gino. And I love Rusty. I vote Rusty for president. I've met him a couple of times. He's the best. But you know what? Sometimes I'm all for the Penguins. The Penguins were here before me. They were here before Mario. They were there after Mario. It's like they're gonna go on. So we have to move ahead. But other than Sid and Gino, I think everyone can go. So maybe it was if they would have had to take, maybe it was Jake. Maybe I'm sure JR wanted Jake, right? That's probably what the holdup was.
No, I don't. I think I think when they were talking about the Miller thing, I think it was like picks and prospects or something like that. So who even knows? But yeah, I guess Gensel's contract is up at the end of next year. Like, do you feel like they're gonna work to push to re-sign him, or is that a guy that you have to trade at high value, or?
It's funny because I don't know. I mean, I know he's Sid's preferred winger since Kunitz. Now, Sid doesn't play GM, but he can make his veiled.
He has a bit of a say. Yeah.
He's got some pull.
Yeah, he can say, he always says, "I love playing with Jake." So the problem with Jake, and this is not a problem. I love Jake. He's not the fastest. He's one of the guys that just scores goals, but he's not the fastest guy, and he takes abuse. He's not the biggest guy, but he gets his nose dirty. So he may not age so well.
Right.
So if he takes a team friendly number and he wants to play in Pittsburgh, I'm all about it. If he wants to make the big money somewhere else, maybe it may be time to move on, Jake, but I'll always love him.
So he's a deadline guy then this season. As a trade anyway.
I think that they would have to be extreme. I didn't even want to say what something really, really bad would have had to happen in the season, and they would have to be way out of it for them to go into it at the deadline and sell off anybody.
Yeah, that's always like the weird spot.
Selling off people is like, it was shocking enough to people in Pittsburgh that they didn't make the playoffs. They give up at the deadline. Especially Dubas's first year. I don't think that's going to happen.
I like how he gave himself a new title today. Ted was saying that you guys added a few more guys to the front office. I think Amanda Kessel's in there as well.
Everybody got a bump. Got a bump. Trevor Daley got a bump. Amanda Kessel. They were all there before. They all just got kind of promoted. So good. Yeah. I love Trevor Daley. I love Amanda Kessel. Anybody related to Phil Kessel's a friend of mine.
Yeah. Daley looks like he can still play.
Like having a broad in there, mix it up a bit so we're not behind the times. And good.
There you go.
I'm full transparency. I wanted I think his name and now I'm spacing his name. Darsh. I wanted the assistant GM in Tampa Bay.
Because it's Matthew Darsh, I think.
Darsh, yes, okay, Darsh, I was right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I wanted him. We didn't get him. I'm like, okay, I will take Dubas. And first of all, I mean, my two dogs combined could do better than Hextall and Burke. So I mean, anything is better. Having AI is better than Hextall and Burke. But
that would be scary.
But But then when I broke it down, like I gave Dubas an A in my Pro Hockey News column last deadline, He did. He gave the Toronto Maple Leafs everything at the deadline. They still sucked, but it wasn't his fault. You know, he gave them everything. So and I like what he's done so far. Other than I think I would have not given our goaltender 5 years.
But was Jari? Jari got a 5-year deal?
Jari got a 5-year deal. And other than that, I think everything he's done has been a move I totally agree with. So, I mean, how many times do I agree with my GM? He makes 10 moves. I like 9 of them.
Yeah.
And that's pretty good.
We're happy when there's like one good move out of like 100. We're like, all right, we are growing here. We are making progress. Like it used to be, well, I mean, you know the path of the Canucks in the last 20 years, right? It's kind of the rise of, getting past the Blackhawks and fighting all that, and then finally getting over that mountain and making their run, win President's Trophy 2 years in a row, even though they look like pretenders the second time, and then didn't really get anything done, didn't make a move when they probably should have, and then slowly deteriorates. And then, we suck so bad that we luck out with Quinn Hughes and Elias Pettersson. Demko is, not really lucking out. They got him a little bit later. But, you've seen the Canucks path. And, we're just happy when a move gets made that doesn't suck. And, you guys get to make like 10 moves. And you're thinking like, oh, one of them wasn't that great. But everything else seems to be making sense.
Well, even though Horvat has shit the bed in the Islanders, for sure. I didn't like losing Horvat on that team. You got to keep a core, and and JR makes moves. Alvin's a puppet. It's JR behind the scenes, but he makes a lot of moves. But I did not like losing Horvat. You got to keep a core. I don't know. It seems like you just. The defensemen you guys have lost over the years, I think has hurt a lot.
Sure.
Yeah, Myers. I don't know what's wrong with Myers. He's an enigma wrapped in a riddle.
Bad at hockey, I think.
Let me tell you, he can hit the long ball though. That dude hit a nice juicy homer off of me a month ago. So
he's gonna have a role on this year's team, I think. But yeah, his game is obviously falling off.
But Edler played pretty well for the Kings, and then the kid that went to not Edmonton, went to Calgary from you guys, like
Stetcher, Tanev.
Yeah, well, Stetcher, the
Tanev.
Oh, Tanev.
Yeah, Tanev. Yeah. I just think just 3 or 4 more solid defensemen there would, I think, settle everything down, especially for your young goaltender in Demko.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to get into goaltending in a second, but I had a personal question for you. So I've been watching your stuff online.
Sorry.
And I was stay busy. It's a lot of community.
Can you hear him, Joe? I don't know.
He just
oh man. Am I back now? Kinda?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you look like you're back-ish.
Yeah.
Comedians walk around a lot. And I was thinking, would it help you guys if you had like one of those horizontal escalators? The movators where you guys just hop on one like at the airport and you just go back and forth. You'd save so many steps.
Oh, I love my steps. I get my 10,000 steps. That's my favorite thing to do, is get in the city and get a coffee and walk around and explore the city and get all my steps. And yeah, I love walking. I don't even use those things at the airport. They irritate me because there's always like 2 people standing, and I can almost walk faster than they go.
What if they had like a jump in there somehow? Like if they made it worthwhile to get on one?
Some of them do. Some of them do have, they go a little bit like they're on an incline and stuff like that. No, I think you got to move your feet.
Okay.
I'm good. I'm sure some lazy fucking comedians would love that.
Yeah.
Have you ever checked your pedometer after a show, like a night of stand up? How many steps you put on?
No, it would. I mean, you walk around, but it has to be a pretty big stage to even get that many, because you just kind of. It might even be confused because you're kind of walking in a circle. I don't even know. No, I don't walk around that. I don't like Chris Rock or my great friend Paul Verzi. They kind of like go like a panther back and forth. I just kind of like with a buzz, just kind of maneuver a little bit around. Like Dean Martin a little bit. I don't really walk around too much. I walk more. I move around more than most people, but I don't really go that far.
Okay. So I mean, you probably drive a little bit more when you're hitting like cyclists or something like that.
Do I do what?
I said you drive a lot more when you're hitting cyclists or something like that.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, my bike bit, yeah.
It's clever. I like it. You got a good thing going there.
Joe, I was on sorry, Ryan. I was on the Twitter account here.
All right.
And the Patrice Bergeron bit was
Am
hilarious.
I adding this to the stream? Is that what you got up there? Or
Yeah.
no?
It was great. It was hilarious to me. So no, this isn't it.
Sorry.
Anyways.
Okay.
And so the comparison to like Ron Francis and like, you know, maybe one of the top centers of all time. And it actually just got me thinking about the Francis thing, because I think in that scenario, like Bergeron's a bit overrated. Who's a center who hasn't gotten a lot of love, who probably should be ranked in one of those top centers of all time? And you can't name Ron Francis, because I think we all agree on that one.
Well, I'll name drop when I said one time. You guys know Stan Fischler, obviously, right?
Okay.
He's been writing about hockey since like 1935.
Right.
Yeah. So he came on our podcast. It was a great get, and I thank my buddy from Long Island to get him for us. And he's a mensch. He's written like 100 books. And I said, I said, why is Brian Trottier underrated? And this guy went on a 10 minute. He thought I, said something bad against Israel. Who says Brian Trottier is underrated?
Because he covered the Islanders for years, did he not?
The Islanders for years. The Rangers, just in New York forever. And I mean, he literally goes back to like 1940. Like I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, that's
Stanford absolute legend. Like maybe the first guy in the Hall of Fame as a writer or media guy. But so I can't say Brian Trottier. I don't want Stan Fischler to come back to the internet. Underrated. That is. See, I always thought Trottier. Well, I mean, I said it. I mean, in right now, I mean, Andrzej Kopitar is pretty underrated.
Okay, that's actually where I was.
That's a good pull.
Yeah.
And I even said that on that rant we cut for Puck Off, was I said I'll take him over Bergeron. I said if Kopitar played in Boston, they'd already be a statue. I'll tell you who's, and now I'm not trying to win back the Boston. Phil Esposito is kind of underrated in the big scheme of things. I mean, Phil was a man among boys and played in front of the net when you had to be a man, and I just put up some crazy ass numbers. And I'm a big Phil. I'm a big Espo guy. Ryan Getzlaf is kind of underrated. I know he only won one cup, and the Ducks maybe underachieved a couple of times. They're definitely underachieved against Nashville that season. I was scared to death to play the Anaheim Ducks, and then they ended up, and somehow the Ducks no-showed in Game 6, and it cost them. It cost them severely.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, we hated him as Canucks fans because you knew they were about to dominate too. Like they had some. I mean, him and Perry, and the Andy McDonald year, I guess, too, when they did win, like that, and Solani, like they were just, it was ruthless. They just took care of everything.
Oh, and Brian Burke will never let you forget it either.
No, he won't. Those are like his two things, like drafting the Sedins and winning the cup with them.
You probably love Burke for that. He just took a paycheck in Pittsburgh. Total. I'm Italian. I understand Teamsters. He took a no-show job.
I think he's been doing this for a while now.
That was my biggest thing. That's why I wasn't even. I still thought Hextall was gonna at the end rip off his suit and have a Flyer sweater underneath it. And the whole reason why I didn't care was Hextall, because I thought, well, at least Burke is going to be there.
He'll oversee it
to make sure we're not a bunch of pussies, and and to just not make Hextall be a complete idiot that he is. And Burke was like, whatever he was, there's a steakhouse somewhere knocking back some Jameson. I don't know what the fuck he was doing.
Well, but not enough.
The one that did less in the job was Rob Blake, his first 5 years as the Kings GM. Blake didn't do anything. He had to go wake Blake up at the beach.
Still
He was in charge. He was in charge of when they had new jerseys. Like, oh, we're getting the new white away jersey. I should probably leak this accidentally online. Like, that's like, oh yeah, Rob Blake's still there. I forgot.
But then Blake put together some incredible work. So I mean, he really stormed the beaches then after falling asleep for a couple of years there. Now I have nothing but high praise for Rob Blake's job. And maybe not so much now. If you listen to the puck off, I absolutely despise that puke Dubois. Other thing worse than that trade was giving him almost $10 million a year. I was like, oh well, he's quit on he quit the team his dad worked at.
That's true.
I mean, is there anyone?
That's the NHL, though. There's so many of those types of stories.
No, the NHL's. I mean, please, the NHL. I mean, you sound like you're talking about the NBA. How many people legitimately quit in the NHL? Like, except him, none.
Not quit, but
he basically quit twice.
I'm not saying that's it. I mean, you got a point. I'm just saying, like, as far as handing out contracts and like the way they do things, the way hockey seems to run as a whole. They're like, well, like we've had the Eric Branson thing, right? Like that still makes us laugh. The fact that there's more than one team that thought, let alone any, that thought he was worth what he's worth. And like we're all hoping as fans for how many years that first of all, they traded for him, then they doubled down and re-signed him, and then somehow we were able to get a trade out of it that was worth something, and then someone else signed. Like
he was a Penguin for a while.
Yeah, it's messed up.
He taught Art Pedersen how to take a punch.
That's
he did. He showed him how to fight. He just doesn't know how to throw a punch, but he showed him how to fight.
That's fair.
You guys. Yeah, I understand when he's one of your guys that flames out, then you're not as into. But I had no problem with Joe Branson.
Hey, I don't have a problem with Eric Branson if he's not making $4.5 million and supposed to be logging top 4 minutes on the D. Yeah, I mean, there's a spot for a guy like that, just not what he was making. That's all.
Isn't that the way it is, Teddy? Like I love Letang when he's a rookie, when he's on a cheap contract. We're like, oh my god! If he was, now it's like, yeah, he's not making it. It's perfect. It's and that's the thing.
It's always money, always.
Yeah, like if I can't even think of his name because I hate him so much. The only trade that Hextall made this year, I'm spacing. We just talked about Granlund. Granlund. If Granlund was making $975, I could care less.
Yeah, sure.
Good.
Yeah, like it's like I like Gensel, right? I mean, I liked Horvat at his price point. I don't like him what he's making right now. Like if Gensel goes and gets paid 8.5, 9 schmil, then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, we're talking about a different thing here now.
He probably will, though.
Yeah, you're right.
His comparisons with some people that make a lot of money are pretty favorably, and he has 2 cups.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? So if he gets that paycheck, he's gonna have deserved it. So that's. But do you want him on your team at that price? That's the hard part.
I think he actually has 1 cup. I'm sorry, probably. He has 1 cup. He came the second of the back-to-backs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's got a resume. He's got a resume.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Ted, do you want to make sure that you can almost eat your microphone, possibly? I mean, not actually, but pretty close. You made I love the fact that you have so much content on your Puck Off podcast that like relates to what we talk about. You got into the 2 goalie system, and I've been like heavy on this. I know Ted's he's not quite sure.
I don't hate it.
You don't hate it, but you're willing to argue with me. I think that goaltending in the NHL, aside from a very select few, should be run almost like a pitching rotation. And have a 2 goalie system where it's not just one anymore, because they've basically killed that option for a lot of teams. Like really bank on a multi goaltender system where you're playing matchups, you're kind of playing the averages. You're not just saying like, well, this is our starting guy. He's going to go play for 10, 12 games, and then once we hit either a break or back to back, then maybe we'll put in the other guy for a bit. Like I think it should be like we always bring up. Or I do anyway, like the Luongo-Schneider thing back in 2010, 2011, even 29 a little bit. And they kind of played off of each other where you had 2 legitimate goaltenders. Now, I know you have to basically, cap figure that out and have 2 guys. But I mean, a team like, any team really, Pittsburgh, Vancouver, whoever, like to have 2 goaltenders that are basically... You may have like a 1A and 1B, but you definitely have 2 guys that are working it as opposed to just, the Mika Kiprasovs, which I think they're retiring his number this year. Like, that guy played like 79 games a season, which you used to kind of be able to do, but now it's just like, it's greedy if you're trying to push a guy that far. What do you think?
I like having a competent backup goaltender who can come in, because the points are so hard to come by, and it used to be when everyone makes the playoffs, or whenever there's a division of labor, who's going to make it or who's not going to make. Where it's like, okay, you can take a game off here and there, and you can do this. Now every point is so important that you can't have your who cares, the backup goaltenders, and we'll lose 6-5. Everybody get their cookies. You need a competent backup, but I still want a guy that you don't have a debate ever who the number one goaltender is, and it's his crease, and that's it. Because look what happened in Boston. Oh, we have two guys. Everyone loves each other. Kumbaya. We all play dominoes on the plane together. And then what happens? The coach doesn't have the balls to switch the goaltenders when they had to in game 5, 6, and 7. They lost. So either, if you're going to have the tandem, then have the tandem. But the problem is people have a tandem, but then when push comes to shove, no one has the tandem.
Yeah.
So then don't have the tandem.
Yeah.
It's not as much as quarterbacking. You have two quarterbacks, you have none. But if you don't have a guy that knows in October, hey, every big game, that's our guy. Because then you're really plus, and I don't know anything about hockey locker rooms other than drinking beers and in pickup games. If you're obviously going to have guys that, hey, I'll just use the Penguins as an example, even though no one would be on the Smith team to Smith unless he babysits their dog. If you have, okay, I'll say Boston, because I bet there's guys that really wanted Swayman in there from day one. Just like Swayman better. He's a better goaltender. Like the way he played the puck. Their wives were friends. Then the other guy. It's already split up. But you're in Tampa. There's no split. Everyone knows Vasilevsky's the goaltender. Everyone knows who the backup is. Now, you wouldn't have a guy better than Elliott, so you're not just throwing the orange cone out there. But I prefer having a number one goaltender. I don't prefer having a $10 million goaltender, because I think unless his name is Andrei Vasilevsky, and even he slipped a little bit, I think the difference between a $6 million guy and a $3 million guy is not really that much.
Mm-hmm.
Is not really that much. But I do want everyone in the lot. I want the guy selling popcorn. I want my 9-year-old daughter's best friend who comes over and watches the game with him, petting the dog on the couch. I want everyone in the metropolitan area to
the dog walker
who the number one goaltender is. Or you're gonna have a problem.
So this was my argument with Ryan earlier, that I think you have to have the guy, but that I don't think you have to overwork your guy either, right? I think you can split games up. I think you can do like a 60-40 throughout the season and save him for the playoffs.
Exactly, Teddy. The problem is when you have a guy like DeSmith, three times, Jari had to come in on his day off.
Fuck. Can you imagine a regular job you have to come in on your day off if somebody fucks up at work?
Yeah. Imagine that.
And you can't even say no. Like, yeah, we need you. Hey, we need you.
And it's not even like, who gives a fuck about dismissed goals against? It's just the fact we're going to be losing 35-0. It's a shit show in the first period. I want to have a number one guy, but I want to have an absolute competent backup goaltender. And actually, I want to have three. I want three. That's why, Dubas has he got 9 goaltenders now. They're going to be 9 guys in Wilkes-Barre playing goaltender. But you know what? I want 3. You need 3 in today's NHL, to be honest with you.
And you guys got 3. You got Nadaljevic now too, right? So you guys are going to be in good shape there. But that was, you know how every team follows the whole okay, whatever team won the Stanley Cup, that's the prototype. Now we're copying this. I don't think you can copy that out of Vegas, running with that many backup goaltenders. So it's going to be a wild show here for the next little bit for goalies, I feel like.
You're absolutely right, Teddy. But I'll tell you, They did it right. They paid him a decent salary, but not too much, where they can have another guy. But day one, he's the number one guy.
Yep, that's fair.
I mean,
I like your passion.
Look what happened in L.A. I can't believe they didn't give Copeland in that in game one. He saved their freaking season. I love Jonathan Quick. I met him a couple of times. Great guy. But Quick couldn't stop a beach ball at the end. He couldn't even move. There'd be a period where like, oh my God, it's old Quickie. This is the best. And then it's like, oh my God, it's old Quickie.
Yeah.
Copley comes in, saves the whole season. What do? They give the net to Corpusalo? What's Corpusalo ever done? He was good in a street ball game 15 years ago.
He's in the roller hockey season with Bedard.
Yeah, man. I think Edmonton sent the whole season looking for that true number one guy, right? I mean, it was Stuart, Skinner, and Campbell was could never get his game right, and Skinner like fell into that role, but he wasn't the guy. Like the guy selling popcorn didn't think that Skinner was the guy, and he wasn't that guy when push came to shove either. So,
and we love Kenny Holland, right? Hall of Famer. You talk about some guys going into every season with the same bullshit goaltending problem. I mean, what are the Oilers doing?
Yeah, well, they got Campbell for a bunch of years now. He's locked up until 26, 27. So, whoops.
Well, exactly.
Fine by me. Fine by me.
What are they doing? And so I mean, yeah.
It's fine by me. Eddie, like you've got your like anybody but Philly or whatever. I mean, the Oilers seem to be like Oilers in Calgary out here, probably more so Calgary, and then Toronto. I mean, at some point, we're just like, please, just figure it out, get it over with, so we can all go back. Like, how have they always been so close and yet so far? So it's just frustrating because we all see it from the outside, like, oh well, this is all you guys need. Like, if as a non-fan of your team, you need one of these defensemen, you need a goaltender, and then you have a pretty good team. No, we're going to go about it the other way, and we're going to try to sign up as many top-line players as possible, and then we're going to collapse. We'll win the regular season, might even win the President's Trophy. But then you get to the playoffs, and it's same old.
Toronto's original sin was getting John Tavares. They didn't need him. You do need two. I mean, Crosby, Malkin, Lemieux, Francis.
That was organic, though. They drafted those guys.
And
they came up together.
No, they didn't draft Ronnie. Ronnie came from Hartford.
No. Like Malkin instead.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying. I mean, you need two.
You need two.
I mean, Fedorov, Yzerman.
Barry Getzlaff.
Yeah,
you need two.
Well, in two centers, especially. And Sakic, Forsberg, like the two center model is what gives you. And Nisimov was a great second line center for those years with Taves. You need two set. I mean, even spacing on Washington.
Backstrom,
Kuzi, and Baxter. Having to look at Tampa Bay. They got three centers for racing. But it's just the ticket was too big. They needed a little more defensive of a guy than Johnny T. I love Johnny T as a person. He's paid too much money. So that was their original sin. The second original sin, well, maybe the first was let Lou Lamoriello go. Dubas is okay, but they gave the kid you think Lou would hand out that money like Monopoly money? I want to see Mitch Martyr go to Lou Lamoriello and say, I want as much money as Austin Matthews.
Peace. Yeah.
Martyr would still be waiting for a check. It's still be sitting there. So that was another sin. And then me and my buddy partner Fraser Smith, we go a lot of Kings games, and I saw Doughty not looking like Doughty. He needed a pump in the arm about 3 years ago. He just, they weren't going to make the playoffs, and he was going through he did not look like Doughty, the Doughty I love. And they should just traded Doughty for Marner then. And it would have solved it.
I haven't heard that one yet.
It would have solved everything. The money would have been, it would have solved everything. And, so that's why Toronto just, Riley had a good playoff this year. So I'm not going to knock him for this season. And I don't even want to knock Riley. But Riley is not a number one defenseman on a Stanley Cup team. That's their number one problem. They need a horse back there. They don't have any horses. How many? I'm not trying to pat the Penguins on the back, but you're not going to see a Stanley Cup again when Letang's hurt and 6 guys all play above their playing weight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean that's what they're hoping. They're hoping that the whole Graves thing helps just free him up even more, right? But we'll see.
Right? Yeah, but I'm talking about like from Toronto's standpoint. Or I mean, look at every other team. You know that. I mean, other than the year Letang was hurt. I mean, since I was a kid, every team has a number 1 defenseman. Some teams have a number 1 and a 1A.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's for the cup. These are men.
Yeah.
You need somebody to do manly jobs.
Yeah, I always think back to the Pronger Niedermeyer thing, right? Like
Exactly. That's it. I was just thinking the same thing. I mean, yeah. 2 Hall of Famers. Yeah, you can't go wrong.
How clinically or chronically, whatever the word be, criminally, you talking about underrated? Scott Niedermeyer. Are you shitting me? Scott, I saw him.
I think he was fairly rated. I don't know. I think he was pretty rated.
I saw him in Chelios and somebody else go to the Hall of Fame all the same day. I was at the Hall of Fame weekend up there.
Yeah,
he had more accolades. He had more like whatever things on his notch than anybody. God, he was smooth on his ice. I mean, to me, the best defenseman I ever saw play was Nick Lindstrom.
Yeah,
I never saw Bobby Orr. I'm not that old. Just miss Bobby Orr.
We don't have any gray hairs in there, so I think we're okay.
Oh, please. I don't know about that.
I mean, maybe it's the lighting. I know mine are starting to come in.
It is the lighting. I got more in my stash than I do in my regular hair, though. But they're coming in.
It's the body's a funny thing.
Another year of Hextall, I'll be white. I would have had white hair. Another year, Dismiss plays over 40 games.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you're going to be Brian Burke by the next time we would chat with you.
Well,
Joe,
they won't be that fat or ignorant.
Well, I hope, you can buy a nice tie and just untie it for yourself.
Can you tie it? He actually is working so hard. Jesus.
Yeah, I just want a cush job where I could be a consultant and hang out at the bar.
It's pretty decent. Yeah, I mean, hey, everybody's got to have a job somewhere. Joe, this has been an absolute pleasure. You are an absolute riot. Quick plug for, hey man, I mean, we like talking hockey, we like joking around. This is what we do, is guys hanging out. Feel free to go plug anything that you like. I mean, we are pushing to almost number 1 in Thailand for hockey podcasts, so
there you go.
Might get some love out there, but go for it. Plug anything you got coming up.
Well, I got my Puck Off podcast. If you like this, it's me and my co-host Fraser Smith and my co-host Andy Picaro, and we do a lot. We cover every team. We're not just one team. We do everything, and we'll have NHL guys on. We'll have media guys on. We'll have comedians on, or sometimes it's just us talking shit. And then my special comes out on All Things Comedy, YouTube, and then Amazon Prime, and then Pluto later. But the first hit will be All Things Comedy, YouTube, September 18th.
Nice. Any shows coming up here pretty quick?
Well, I mean, I'm at the Ice House Saturday night. I'm at Long Beach Laugh Factory Sunday and Wednesday.
Nice.
I'm at the Stamford, Connecticut Comedy Festival August 28th.
I think we're going to be down there, Ted. 26th. We should go.
Whatever that Saturday is.
That Saturday.
I'm bad with numbers.
One last request, because he's our mustache guy. Can you give Ryan some advice on how to take care of that stash?
It looks great to me. What's wrong with it?
I think more advice.
I appreciate that.
Advice is good advice. That's all.
Like, do you put a product in yours? Have you ever kind of dulled it up at all, or?
I do when I'm in my limited. I mean, I've been in a couple movies and stuff, but when I'm on a set, they put the little wax in it, which just kind of makes it softer. But I think if you just wash your face, it gets soft enough.
Oh, that's the key. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. No, but I do like it when there's a little
basic hygiene.
But I don't feel like wasting like $9 on mustache wax.
Other than we know that he uses 5-blade razors to shape that thing in. So
my big thing is I use Clubman aftershave, like the old school barbers back home.
Oh
yeah.
The yellow. Oh my god, I love that smell.
Not the Aqua Velva.
Oh, Aqua Velva. Oh my god, no. Oh, Aqua Velva tastes like that's like $3. That's like $3 not vodka. Like some kind of stuff you buy in the hood.
Yeah, Aqua Velva and soap on a rope, right?
Yeah.
Hey, nothing wrong with soap on a rope. That stuff's awesome.
I never even.
You just get the good stuff from Etsy, and then you're good.
Maybe it's a Canadian thing. Who knows?
It might be. It might. I mean, Tom Green made it famous, so.
I love Tom Green. Famous.
Maybe it is a Canadian thing. Joe, this has been a blast. I mean, so much fun. I was very excited that you were able to come on.
Well, thanks for having me, Ryan. Anytime you want to fuck around.
We're gonna get him on our football show. We got to get you because we got to get you talking football. That helps no one fantasy cast. We won't be talking fantasy football when you come on. It'll be
I don't care. How many points
Teddy's a Browns fan. We've got a Ravens fan, a Seahawks fan, and obviously you like your Steelers. So
a Ravens
it's like it'll implode.
Seahawks fan, okay.
And I'm in the middle.
And I'm a Browns guy. So we went the whole show. We didn't fight or argue. It was perfect.
No, that's the thing is I don't have any like my only anti-team is the Flyers. And I have great friends who are my brother-in-law's a Flyer fan. I have great friends. I go on the Broad Street Bullies podcast all the time. Those are great guys. I just hate the Flyer troll fans. And I never acknowledge them. It's probably the first time I acknowledge them.
It's good advice.
Oh, well. They won't be watching this.
You know what? Because I love the city of Philly. I love the food in Philly. I love the fans there come to my shows. They're great people. So the my troll, they never come to see a show. So why do I even acknowledge them?
We'll cut that part out. That way you don't have to publicly have said that you've said that. So that's perfect.
I know what a pain is to edit podcasts. Don't worry about it.
Oh yeah. It's funny how once you get in, like he knows, he's aware. We are the PP1 podcast. Myself.
Is this video going out?
Yeah, man. This is live, man.
Live.
This is going up to the internet.
There's my Lemieux signed jersey. I put the
I love it.
in the wrong spot.
Beauty.
I did his benefit.
Okay.
There's two. There's Mario. There's Gino, and then there's like right this way. Yeah, there's
Ronnie Francis.
Yags and Mario. No, my favorite poster of all time is still in my office. I got in the mid '90s. It was the Courage to Come Back night. Ronnie and Yager, their charities, they sponsored a kid that took a bullet for a friend of his at the street corner.
What?
And then he fought his way back, and he's walking, and he was out there, and there wasn't a dry eye in the house.
Oh,
and
wow.
the poster's fabulous. There's Ronnie and Yags with a little wry smile, and it's hung in my bedroom for years. So anytime I'd get laid, it'd be like, yeah, the Courage to Come Back, Captain Ron.
Wow. Just like bookends, right? Start strong, finish strong. It's also a weird way to say that last comment, but you know what I mean. Joe, this has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Aiden. I'll come on and talk some football.
We will definitely. We'll make sure that you're on there. Everybody,
and tag me, and I'll blast it around.
we were gonna social this so hard, so we don't have to do a show for another couple of weeks until Ted's ready to come back.
You're taking the summer hiatus like you're NHL GM. You're going to your cabin.
Yeah. We're going up to the lake, Minnetonka or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, so he's strange. Every summer he goes up north. There's like this town in here called Prince George.
It's a great lake.
I didn't even know people went up there to vacation, but he does it. He goes there up north to vacation.
This year I'm going to Calgary. It's going to suck. Oh well.
That's how funny our podcast. We didn't know we were doing some pretty good at Sideshow, our old network, and we just kept doing it in the summer. We didn't know any better. This summer programming. It's like we never took a break. Now summer programming is like the bane of my existence.
Yeah.
We feel
like went on. You get the listens, right?
We feel like we've made it, so we finally decided to take a break. So, folks, check out Joe Bartnick on Instagram. Check him out on Twitter. Go check out his new special coming out in September, a week after my birthday. Very exciting stuff. Myself and Ted are part of the PP1 podcast on the Hockey Podcast Network. As we talked about before, DraftKings promo code THPN. Go check it out. Raycon as well. Check out the promo code. Everybody, keep enjoying your summer. Peace out.